Some houses hide children's laughter, while others hide deep sorrows. Jalan Turi or Turi Road, Bangsar, you might have known that road for its ghostly sighting, ghostly whispers, but in April of 1992, what really happened behind the bungalow's closed door was far more terrifying, and this was real. Hello, you guys, and welcome to the GMC channel where I bring you the ghost, the mystery, the crime. I am Esther Vincent, also known as Leah Mia on social media. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. I hope you guys stick around till the end. If you do, don't forget to leave me a like, a thumbs up, a comment, share it with others. If you have not done so, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really would help the channel grow further and will encourage me to make more. So without blabbering further, let's get into today's story. It was the evening in April of 23rd and 1992 in an upscale neighborhood in Bangsar, Kuala Lumpur. A quiet tree-lined street, there was a bungalow and a family whom to the world seemed to have everything: love, life, wealth, a beautiful future awaiting them. But in a single night, all of that changed for the worst. The bungalow was the house of the Talwars, Rakesh and Sunita Talwar. They were an Indian family, originally all the way from New York. They have come down to Malaysia. This was like a new chapter in their life, a new beginning. Sunita Talwar, 38 years old. She was the wife, she was the mother, she was a warm and very social person. Rakesh Talwar, he was 44 years old and he was the husband. He was a senior executive in a very large company and he often travels abroad for work. And at the heart of their home were their children. Their first son, Kabir, who was 11 years old, a boy full of life and curiosity. Their second son was Arjun, 7 years old, sweet, innocent, and always smiling. With them lived Natalia, Natty for short. Natalia Fernandez was 45 years old, their live-in maid. She was loyal, trusted, someone who is a part of their daily life. These aren't just names of random people. No, these were real people with family, daily routines, laughter, happiness, and a future that was stolen too soon. This one night would turn a home into a crime scene that shook the nation. Okay, now back to the 23rd of April 1992. Shortly before the midnight, Sunita pulled into her home's driveway. You see, that night earlier, she and her husband, they went out to meet up with some friends, to have some dinner, have a fun night together. But Rakesh, the husband, he left earlier catching a taxi to the airport because he had to catch a flight to fly to London for work. So Sunita, she stayed out a little longer, had fun with their friends, and then she returned back home slightly before midnight. She walked towards the house, but as soon as she stepped in, she felt something was not right. She felt a presence. Something was definitely wrong. Before she could even make sense of it, boom, she was struck, hit hard on her forehead by someone she trusted. Who could that be? Yo, imagine you walking into your house, not suspecting anything, and boom, you got hit hard on your head. You would be a doozy by that. Exactly what happened to Sunita. She stumbled backwards and she was in a daze. Fear exploded in her chest and she started to run. She fled the scene not just from the pain, but from something far worse waiting inside of her house. She ran next door screaming, shouting for help. She was bleeding. She was terrified. The neighbors brought her in, trying to make sense of what had happened to her. While all this was taking place, time was passing, minutes were passing, and soon the neighbors started hearing screams, shouts coming from Sunita's bungalow. But inside the house, inside of the Talwar's bungalow, no one could imagine the horror that was taking place. The police rushed to the location, and when they entered the bungalow, they were able to see blood splatter in multiple different places inside of the house. But the worst was still hidden. By then, seeing the blood splatter, the condition the house was in, the police already know something terrible had happened there. They started searching the whole house. Behind the bungalow, the police would find a 15-foot deep septic tank, and inside of that septic tank, they would find something that would haunt even seasoned investigators for years. Three bodies with disfigured heads stacked on top of each other, bloodied and lifeless. The bodies of Kabir Talwar, just 11, Arjun Talwar, 7 years old, and Natalia, their maid. No weapons were found nearby the body, just the horror of their injury. Forensic tests would reveal that they had been bludgeoned to death with a blunt object, including a chopping board and large stones. 7-year-old Arjun Talwar died from severe bleeding in his brains. He had been struck multiple times on the head, causing fractures to his skull and serious damages to his brain. His older brother, the 11-year-old Kabir, was beaten repeatedly on the face and his head. The blows were so severe that the base of his skull was fractured, causing massive bleeding. Blood from his mouth blocked his airway so he could not breathe. But forensic experts later would confirm that his injuries alone were already fatal. Five of his teeth was found in the scene, dislodged from his mouth, showing the extreme force that was used against him. Those poor children. Finally, Natalia. She also died of severe blunt force trauma. Her facial injuries were so severe that they caused heavy bleeding, which flowed into her airways and prevented her from breathing. So these victims, they weren't just merely struck, they were brutally attacked. They died a horrible, horrific death. Like they were struck when they were alive. Like imagine the pain, imagine the shock the body would have gone through. And oh god, it was terrible. Meanwhile, Sunita, the only survivor, laying injured in her neighbor's living room, unable to comprehend the nightmare that had just unfolded back in her home. After police confirmed that both their sons and their maid had been murdered and they are now indeed dead, Rakesh Talwar, the father, the husband, was informed once he landed in London. Imagine hearing such a news right after landing. Like, what would you do? Oh my god, this would have been crazy. Within about 2 hours, he boarded the next flight back to Malaysia. He was accompanied by a friend and two psychiatrists, showing how deeply shaken he was by what had happened. Now, the suspect. Who was this guy? Like, who was this guy who attacked Sunita right on her forehead when she entered into her home? Well, this guy, he was still there. He was the security guard assigned to watch over the Talwar's house that night. His name was Arifin Agas, just 25 years old. He was from Kuala Lumpur, Pahang. He was a substitute security guard assigned for the Talwar's home because their usual security guard was away on leave. And this guy, this new guy, he had just been working for them for about 3 days by then. He was arrested the same night because they were able to find him in his security guard post not too far away from the incident. I guess he just did all of this and went back to his post and started working back as normal, as if nothing happened. Excuse me, Arifin, what is going on in your head? During the interrogation, Arifin denied any involvement in the family's killing and gave a bizarre story saying three armed Chinese men came out of nowhere and they did it. And they forced him and asked him to help dispose of the body, and he had to throw the body into the septic tank to listen to them, like, to obey what they're asking him to do, scared for his life, it seems. And this was the story that he came up with, a story that the court would later deem as implausible. And so the trial began in 1994. Over days of testimony, neighbors and witnesses spoke about the screams that they heard, the attack on Sunita, and they also relived the terror that they overheard coming from the bungalow house that night. Sunita also testified her voice steady despite the great trauma that she was going through. Arifin's supervisor, M. Ramachandran, testified saying soon after the suspected murder time, he saw Arifin walking by the road, so he picked him up. And allegedly, he saw Arifin throwing out what looked like a knife out of the car and he turned and said to his supervisor, quote, "Saya terpaksa buat," meaning I had to do it, end quote. What did you had to do? What did you mean by that, Arifin? Forensics confirm the guard's uniform had the victim's blood stain all over it, the broken chopping board found at the scene. The murder weapon had DNA linking him directly to the victims. During the trial, Rakesh Talwar, the father, the husband, broke down in court and confronted Arifin saying, quote, "How are you able to sit there just like that? You should be in a cage. I hope someone will do that to your children someday." End quote. Finally, in March of 1994, a team of jury found Arifin guilty of all three murders and he was sentenced to death, a mandatory punishment for murder back at that time. He did try to appeal, but his appeal, including the one to the federal court, was dismissed. On the 27th of December 2002, nearly a decade after the crime, Arifin Agas was hanged at the Kajang prison. Now coming to the motive, why Arifin did this? Well, to this day, it is officially unknown. Despite countless hours and testimony in court, nothing properly explained why he did all of that. Suspicions of psychological issues, mental issues lingered, but those were not proven as well. Think about that, you guys. A home that was supposed to be like a safe sanctuary. A mother, she survived, but both her children gone. Their maid gone. With no clear reasons to why. No closure. Just a night that should have never happened. A crime this horrific did not just fade away with time. Soon people began sharing stories of ghostly figures, children's laughter, and screams heard late at night from the abandoned bungalow. Beyond the crime itself, Jalan Turi was already linked to a legend of a woman in white wearing a white wedding attire and wandering the roads. Together, these stories, they have turned Jalan Turi, Turi Road, into one of Malaysia's most haunted roads, haunted places. If you want to explore the haunting side of this road, the ghost bride of Jalan Turi, the ghost bride of the Turi Road, make sure you tune into my previous video. Right before this video, I uploaded another one that talks about all the supernatural sightings, all the legends that has to do with the Turi Road. I hope to see you guys again in the next video. Please like and subscribe if you have not done so. Until then, stay safe out there, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.